theme, as you know, is connecting the dots. So basically, it challenges you to reimagine how we read, understand, and interact with information. Okay, so you have to think beyond static PDFs, think insights, relationship, voice, and a lot more. So in next few weeks, you will be building that system that is not just extracting content, but organizing the whole knowledge. And we have a whole team which is excited to meet you. But before we go ahead, we want to show what it looks like to be on the pavilion of the finale. So we can play a video and we can show you how it would look for you guys when you reach to the end. Over to you, Abhishek.
So Gensolve started with a vision that innovation and creativity that's seeping through the walls of Adobe. We wanted to turn this into a competition.
The goal was clear. We will do it at scale, we'll make it impactful, and do it across 700 universities in India.
Gensolve is an all-India hackathon.
First round started with online assessment. Around 90,000 candidates gave that assessment. From that, we shortlisted 1,400 teams. After that, tough competition happened. We shortlisted the final 6.
We are from VIT Chennai.
Triple IT Allahabad.
Made Delhi.
मैंने IIT जमशेदपुर
IIT Guwahati.
IIT Roorkee.
The opportunity here is to solve for real-world problems.
To feel the rush and create the future.
To get mentorship from best research scientists in India.
To present your ideas in front of Adobe leaders who are part of the jury.
You have brought something beautiful to all of us sitting on this side because we are learning from you.
I think you are at the start of something phenomenal. So again, massive, massive congratulations.
Adobe deeply invested and continue to stay deeply committed to innovation.
First criteria for the problem is that it should be attractive. Then on, it should be tantalizingly simple. It should also be sufficiently open-ended. It should be general enough so that you can have manifold applications that you did not even think about when you are attempting to solve the problem.
So the final 6 teams are now attempting to solve the game sense, where they will automatically tag the scores, fouls, player movement, and try to analyze the games such as badminton, tennis, and table tennis.
So real world is messy. Applying standard technique to a messy situation requires a lot of ingenuity. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
If the ball is below that, we term it as net height.
Like how to break that down or which ones were more important.
If a cluster was detective, so that must be a false positive only. Like,
and the team that kind of won this hackathon came up with a novel scoring algorithm by paying sufficient attention to detail and the generalizability of the solution.
Let's announce the winners of Adobe Gensolve 2024. Team Library.
We are inviting students to help us challenge how we've been creating products, creating services, hearing from them what would work in terms of a solution.
as we are engineers and developers, like solving any real life problem is like, this is what we do.
Okay, thanks a lot, everyone. First of all, it's live session. We are not recording it, so it wouldn't be able to. We wouldn't be able to share the recordings. We'll try to share the FAQs with you guys. But first, I want to just make sure that you guys can hear me. Can I have a chat that you guys can hear me clearly? Okay, can anyone confirm if I am audible? Avnesh, Shivraj. Okay, I got a one yes, a couple of yeses, and I can go ahead. Like I said, do pay attention. We wouldn't be able to share the recordings, and this wouldn't be repeated in the exact same format. So hope you will not miss this. And before we go ahead, we want to introduce you to the panel, which would be the part of today's discussion. This is the same team which has created the very challenge from the Document Cloud Business Group. So first of all, I would like to welcome Ashutosh Mehra. He's senior principal scientist at Document Cloud Business Unit. Hi, Ashutosh.
Hey Ajit, very excited to be here. And as Ajit mentioned, I am part of the Document Cloud business unit. I'm a senior principal scientist there. I was also fortunate to be part of the last year's judge panel for the finals. So I have some experience with this thing. And last year's was super exciting. I think this year will be even more so because the problem is really interesting and it's also hard. So I think all of us will have a lot of fun. I've been working on AI ML projects for the last 10 years now in Document Cloud, including object detection, document analysis, and most recently LLMs. Been working on the Acrobat AI assistant, and so the problem is kind of related to document understanding, and just looking forward to seeing what you all build. Thanks.
Thanks, Ashutosh. We now have Chakrapani Mishra, who is principal scientist as at Adobe Document Cloud. Hi, Chakra.
Hi, Ajit. Hi, welcome everybody. So I am a machine learning principal scientist in Document Cloud team, and really excited to be part of this hackathon panel. Welcome aboard, everybody.
Thanks, Chakra. We now have Tapan, who is senior computer scientist too at Adobe Document Cloud unit.
Hi everyone, I'm Tapan. I work as an architect on the Acrobat web team. So bringing the same C++ code that runs in our mobile and desktop apps, running it on the browser using something called WebAssembly. And I'm really excited to see what you guys build. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks, Tapan. We now have Rahul Babbar, senior computer scientist too at Adobe. Hi, Rahul.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rahul. I'm working as a senior engineer in Adobe Document Cloud. So very excited to be here. Welcome everybody. Looking forward to your solutions. Thank you.
Thanks, Rahul. And finally, we have Prasanjeet, who is senior computer scientist too at Adobe. Hi, Prasan.
Hi guys. Hi Ajit. Yeah, so my research interest is computer vision, image processing, and document image processing. And recently, for a couple of years, so I was working on LLMs. So I welcome you all, and so I'm very happy to be part of this actually hackathon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Prasan. Okay, so going forward, we can basically start off that why we are organizing this very hackathon. Abhishek, we can move to the next slide. We meanwhile, till the time next slide comes, let me introduce myself. I'm Ajit. I was holding my introduction. Uh, uh, so I'm program manager at Adobe. Basically, the hackathon was planned to bring out the best of the talent from across India to Adobe. So every year we decided that we will go to a business unit. It can be a document cloud or creative cloud, and basically we will have the best problems that they are not able to solve, and we will give it to you for you to take a shot. And from that, of course, we will be able to take best of the talent and bring them back to the Adobe. So this was kind of experiment which started last year with what the video you have seen, and we are continuing this year from with the help of the entire team that you have seen. So the entire team came together and created this very challenge at connecting the very threads of the challenge. Part 1B, 1A, 1B, and finale. So that you can have broader understanding of how a Adobe engineer works. So when you are able to solve the entire problem, you'll be able to create something significant which we would be able to use, and hopefully you would be able to work with us when you are at Adobe. So this is the very theme, and we will now like start with the questions that has been asked by you guys. Starting from Ashutosh, we can go to the next slide. Yeah. So Ashutosh, we'll start with the vision of the challenge. So yeah, I remember connecting with you, and you came up with the theme, connecting the dots. So let me check. And guys, I would encourage all of you to listen to this very carefully, because the vision statement becomes kind of a tiebreaker if you are able to capture the essence of why this problem has been solved. So and just wait. I am seeing a lot of questions which are coming. We are covering all of those in the thread of the conversation. But Santosh, over to you. Why connecting the dots?
Yes, yes. So why this problem, right? I think this is a very natural thing that all of us are facing in one form or another as we kind of have this information overload. There is a ton of files that each one of us has to process. You being students must be reading a ton of research or study material, and also at work there is a ton of information about some project floating around. And as you look at a particular document, there are other related documents kind of that have talked about similar ideas, or having proposed opposite points of view, and it becomes a real challenge in that moment to kind of do some kind of context switching and shared in the past, etc. So if you think about a research paper, right? You are reading something, you might have read five other research papers in the similar area. What were their kind of quality numbers that those research papers had got? What were their findings? Did some of their findings contradict what you are reading right now in this paper? I think there's a lot that could be done with respect to connecting information across documents. So this is what the whole idea of this connecting the dots is, that as you are reading a PDF, can you surface in the application interesting information that you might have seen in the past but may not have registered, right? And our memory is only so much. So how can technology kind of play that role and bring information to you rather than you kind of trying and searching for that information? So that's the overall idea. What we our thought process was to break it down into smaller logical pieces and kind of help build that in steps. So that's why 1A, 1B, and then the final round, so that there is both a sense of accomplishment, and as you kind of go through these phases, you try to use different kinds of technology, different techniques in order to solve that, improve your accuracy, because that's the whole game with these problems, right? You can build something maybe in half an hour that will get some kind of result, but are you able to solve a large class of documents? And documents can be very diverse. So that is what makes this whole task very interesting, and will also kind of be factored into the evaluation, right? So yeah, that's a quick one on why this problem.
Thanks a lot, Ashutosh. Ashutosh, I think in the middle your voice broke a bit. Do you want to summarize it in a couple of lines? I think a couple of folks were not able to hear you in the middle, especially.
Sure, sure. So the whole idea is to be able to connect across documents pieces of information that are related, contradictory, can help provide examples. So example, there is an instance of something that is being talked about in another document. Can we help surface that information? So I think it is mostly about bringing all the documents that you have read in the past and be surfaced in the context of some new document that you might be reading, right? So that is the whole idea.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ashutosh. I think there are a lot of questions which are coming around whether they have to complete both round 1A and 1B. Yes, you'll have to complete both. You can start from both will be evaluated separately. So you can start at either of those, whatever you feel is comfortable. and take best shot at that. Both are also connected, so you'll get a lot of learnings when you solve one, and then try to close the second.
Yeah, 1B sort of builds on top of 1A. So I would suggest doing 1A first so you have an understanding of, what the sections in the document are, and then you try to kind of do that mapping. But yeah, I think like Ajit said, do try to take a stab at 1B, then get back to 1A if that's what interests you more.
Thank Ashutosh. We can move to the next question. Okay, so hope you guys must have seen the entire panel and must have realized the entire panel is from one particular business unit. So Chakra just wanted to understand more about the relevance of the problem for the document cloud business unit and something about the entire business unit in itself.
Yeah, so I mean, just a brief background. So Adobe is basically divided into three major groups: Adobe Creative Cloud, Adobe Document Cloud, and Experience Cloud. So this challenge is from Adobe Document Cloud, and our marquee product is Acrobat. So just to give you some numbers, so basically Acrobat is used by more than 700 million users on a monthly basis. Billions of PDFs get opened in Acrobat across the world. So it is one of the most widely used product in the entire world. And as Ashutosh explained in the previous section, we want to move from just comprehending the document in Acrobat to basically getting into knowledge, basically supporting the knowledge workflows for our end consumers. So we want to provide insights as well from the documents that are being opened through the advent of Gen AI and various solutions, and that it is providing all across the world. So that was one reason why we are sponsoring this particular challenge. And for us, it is very important because we can really put into our products many conversational capabilities on our documents, on our tools, and much more. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Chakra. So I'm reiterating again. You'll have to solve both round 1A and 1B. Keep them in separate folders. If not separate repos, you can also create separate repos for that. Yeah, you'll have to solve both of them till the deadline, which is 28th of July. Yeah. So yeah, so the constraints you can see on the document, they would know that internet shouldn't be used. You'll have to follow that particular constraint. Yeah, so we'll go to the next one, next round. Okay, Ashutosh, this is again for you. What is the, do you want to like talk in detail? You talk briefly about round 1A, but do you want to talk a bit more in detail about 1A and maybe drop a couple of hints for the folks who are here?
Yes, of course. So 1A is mostly about identifying sections in a document, right? So if you look at most documents, and these could be either long form reports, research papers, Office, Word documents, or even things like PowerPoint slides and so on, there are sections that the author of the document has created, right? And those sections are hierarchical. Like there's an H1 heading, and then within the H1 headings, there are H2 sections, and so on. There's a title of a document. These things are useful in structuring a document. So, once you get to LLM and other things, being able to chunk based on this and so forth. But as part of connecting the dots, problem, the way we will want to use sections is in order to relate one section to another section in a document, right? Or across sections across different documents. So sections provide this kind of nice logical breaking of a document that you can use almost like a unit and like either create knowledge graphs or other kind of semantic mapping across documents. So that was the whole idea. So the first task is to basically identify what are these title, H1, H2, and H3 headings in a given document. And the trick is that sometimes the documents are simple enough or written in a very nice manner that the font size or other coloring etc. give you a hint of what's H1 versus what's H2. But sometimes you also have to look at the actual text of the text of the headings to understand, okay, what level is it at. Sometimes there is a confusion between headings versus things that look like headings but aren't. So for example, table captions or other kind of captions can often appear as though they are headings but aren't section headings. Likewise, sometimes table column headers look like headings but aren't. So there are enough interesting situations where this task is not as simple as just you just look at font size and you know what is H1 versus H2 versus H3. You have to also maybe do some kind of a semantic or NLP type of analysis to do that, right? The other thing is, because headings span across pages, you have to do cross page analysis to be able to differentiate, because you can't just look at one page and say something is an H2 heading or an H1 heading or an H3 heading. You have to look across pages to build that understanding. So that is another kind of complexity. The third one or fourth one is about things like slides, where sections are trickier to, because there might be an interstitial side that says, okay, now this is a change of topic, so that you then becomes your H1 kind of heading. So there are all these complexities, which is why it makes it an interesting enough problem, especially to do in a constrained time and kind of compute envelope.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ashutosh. Ashutosh, I think there's one relevant question which was, I think, asked by Siddhant, that during the 1A, when they were identifying sections, I think the samples that we have shared, it has title and headers that were mentioned. But if they drill down and find other elements, would they be gaining more scores?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I definitely, like, we will definitely not be penalizing if you have like other things be part of that JSON. Uh, but let's regroup and think about that. I think that's an interesting suggestion for sure.
Yeah. So
But we'll
Siddhant,
have to like judge. I mean, even for judges, right? For once you go beyond, let's say, H3 or start figuring out other things, we also have to make sure there is an accurate way of judging, because some cases these things are debatable. Like, what is really a caption versus a heading can be debatable. So if you start marking like H4s as captions, they may or may not be right. So we'll have to also get our rubrics in order to kind of do a good job at doing a uniform kind of assessment, right? So we'll have to sort for that. But yeah, let's keep that in mind.
all right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ashutosh. Okay, we can go to the next question. I think this is, I think a lot of you are asking around that. And Tapan, I leave up to you. A lot of folks are asking what they have to extract and how they can extract. So yeah, over to you for this section.
Yeah, sure. So I think better to explain with a picture. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so here I've given an example. So on the left, you have a document. You can see the document has a title, right? And then there's a heading level 1, and there's some content inside it. And then there are two headings, which are sort of subheadings, a part of that previous heading. And then there's another new heading level 1. So let's say you had this document. So what we expect you to extract is, output is basically this JSON that you see on the right. So you start with this title key, where if you have identified a title, you put that in there, the text for that in there. It's possible some documents may not have titles, but yeah, if you detect that, then you can output it this way. Then there's a outline section where you return an array of different sections in the document. And in each section, you first of all tell the level. So in this case, this is a heading level 1. This text is basically of type H1. So you just say level H1 and then the text for that. And then you also tell which page that heading or section is on. So in this case, we just have like one page. So, but you obviously could have multiple page documents. So the one thing to note is that the indexing is starting from zero. So first page is actually page zero here. And then you can just follow, right? For heading level 2, you'll just give level H2 and the text for that and so on. So yeah, that's what you need to output. And this is a very simple looking document where, as Ashutosh was saying, you can just do font size thing here, but they will be more complex documents. So yeah.
Yeah. So, Tapan, like couple of follow-up questions. First of all, do they have to drill down till H3, which was also something that Ashutosh has answered. And if they have to, they can use a ML model. I think definitely they should use some model, or a normal rule-based approach is fine. Normal rule-based approach would fail because we have a couple of edge cases, so you'll have to use some model to basically train the data. But Tapan, over to you, for this question.
Yeah, as you said, like you can use a model, but I think there are some constraints defined in the document, so you'll have to use the model within those constraints. And yeah, I think till H3 is what we are expecting. And as Ashutosh said, if you want to go further, I think that's something we probably should think about. But yeah, you can use a model, but there are some constraints and like, where the model will run. So keep those things in mind.
Yeah. One thing, you don't have to create any front end. So like the document mentioned, it has to generate output in the same manner. The front end part would come later once in the finale. So you don't have to generate any particular front end. So unless and until your model is generating a JSON, just like this one, what Tapan has shown, it would be fine. We wouldn't be providing the data set for the training. You can use sample PDFs which are available and can go ahead. All right. Yeah, one question. Paging count should start from 0, right, Tapan? I think.
Yeah. Page index starts from 0. Page 1 is page 0. Page 2 is page 1. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yes, you are free to use any open source framework unless and until it fall within the constraint which has been mentioned in the challenge. All right, we can go to the next one. So there are a lot of questions regarding how to submit the submission. Rahul, I think you have most challenging part because a lot of questions were coming, whether the 200 MB constraint is just for the repo and things like that. So over to you to tackle this part.
Sure. Thank you, Ajit. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So first of all your evaluation for 1A will be programmatic. So it will not be manual evaluation, it will be programmatic evaluation. So you have to make sure you align with whatever is written. And like whatever I'm mentioning here, it is exactly mentioned as a sample solution, and other details are provided in the GitHub link on this slide. So first of all, for submission checklist for 1A, what you need is a GitHub project specifically for 1A, which should have your code, and it should have at least one Docker file in the root directory, because that is what we'll be using to build your container image. And you should also have a readme.md, which explains your solution, including models, libraries, whichever we are using. But it is purely for documentation purposes. It will not really be evaluated, I would say. So I want to reiterate that you should probably have a separate repo for 1A. And how will your solution be built? So essentially, whatever repo you provide, we will execute this kind of a command like docker build -- platform, and we will essentially create a Docker image out of your repository, which will essentially just need a Docker file. So again, if you want to refer to a sample solution, it is present in this particular repo. So this command will lead to a Docker image, which will essentially be run with this command, which says Docker run on a particular input. It'll give it, and also it'll output your thing to a particular output directory. And network here essentially means that when we are running the Docker image in a container, it will not have access to any outside network. So you cannot make any HTTP calls or any external calls. External calls will be required, let's say, when you're building the image, but not while running the image, because we don't want you to use external LLMs or anything like that, at least for 1A. So yeah, so this will run your Docker image and Docker container, and then it'll output your the output which your code has into a particular directory. And that is what will be used by the automatic evaluation that we have. So the automatic evaluation, it will have some criteria like heading detection accuracy will have the maximum percentage points. So it will have 25 out of 45 points. Performance, the exact performance numbers will come in next slide, but they'll count to 10 points. Multilingual handling, like whether your code can handle things like Japanese languages and all, that will be for 10 points, and total for 45 points. Yeah, Ajit, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, the constraints are like, there are some constraints like when you are running the solution, I already explained it, you should not have network access, internet access. That we will ensure. You don't have to ensure because we'll be running your Docker images. Another thing is that your system, your solution will be evaluated on cloud and on a system with 8 CPUs and 16 GB RAM. Now it must run on CPU, AMD 64 CPUs. Mostly you don't have to worry about AMD CPUs. So what I'll mention is any library which you are using, just check like its documentation to see whether it is CPU architecture dependent on or not. If it does not, it is not dependent on CPU architecture, then you are fine, because mostly it is not. But there are cases when there is a particular CPU architecture which is ARM 64, and because we'll be evaluating your thing on CPU AMD 64, you don't have to worry, but just check the documentation of any library which you're using. About performance, the execution time which we expect is 10 seconds for a 50-page PDF. And if you are using any model for maybe for object detection, you should try to reduce, like at least constrain its size, maybe not more than 200 MB if you want to use it. And essentially you should keep in mind certain things, that you'll have an input directory and you'll have output directory. So and input directory will have a set of files. So whenever your solution runs, it should, for each input file, PDF file, it should create a corresponding file name .json file for each file present in the input directory. And it should not write anything in the input directory, because that will be a read-only mount, file mount. And there is also schema provided in the repo, and your output JSON should conform to that schema. Also important thing is that you are not restricted to any programming language or framework. In the sample schema we have, in the sample solution we have mentioned Python, but you are really free to try out any programming language. Although any library, model or tool that you must use must be open source, because we don't want you to use proprietary tools. And you should test your solution with both simple and complex PDFs, because like we have provided you only a few PDFs, but I think one of them or a few of them could be complex, but we'll have a diverse data set on which your evaluation will be run. About the performance, if you are not able to hit the timeline for, let's say, 10 seconds for 50-page PDF, one way is to probably try to have some kind of a parallel processing of a set of pages in the PDF. So let's say your solution is trying to run a bit slow, you might try to process multiple pages at the same time. So that is one thing which you could do. And I think last point I already mentioned, you should avoid having solutions that are tied to specific CPU architecture. Mostly you don't have to worry, but still it is good to check the documentation of any library which you are using. If it says something like it has ARM specific dependencies, then it's a problem. So don't use that, but mostly it is never the case, but still it should be good to know. Yeah, that is it, and good luck everybody.
Rahul, there is one question. Basically, they're asking that Docker image size can exceed 200 MB, right? Once we
Docker image size can exceed it. It will most probably exceed, because essentially whenever you are like whenever you are doing a pip install, it will probably increase again. So the 200 MB, it is not exact, it may not be 200 MB. You may use a bigger, but then we'll probably penalize you. I don't think there is a real way for us to know the model size. But eventually, if your thing gets selected, then we'll probably know that, like, out of all these solutions, a few will get selected, and those few which get selected will definitely see their implementation, and we might penalize you if you use bigger models. And so again, it might get you initially, but you will get rejected. So yeah, the to answer the question, the Docker image size will most probably exceed 200 MB. And yeah, it can definitely exceed 200 MB.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Rahul. And this is very important information, and hope guys you would hear this so that you don't get disqualified in spite of doing a good job. Try to adhere to constraint as much as possible. Remember, the penalization would come at the later stage. Second thing is that you have to keep your GitHub repo private till the deadline. After the deadline, you would get a submission link and you can submit it. And basically, then you have to make it public. Once you have made the Git repo public, both for 1A and 1B, you cannot make any other commits. If you, for any particular reason, if you have made any commit after the deadline, you would be disqualified. So because there are around 4,000 plus teams which we will be evaluating, we wouldn't be able to cater to any individual queries. And neither Unstop would do that. So hope you will hear to these instructions properly and adhere to that. I will repeat these again at the end of the session. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. One thing which I want to add, we should have separate Git repos for 1A and 1B. That is because we don't want a set of people having separate Git repos and set of people having common Git repo and with some folder names, because we are kind of programmatically evaluating it. So we need to have a consistent way. So I would recommend we have everybody has a separate Git repo for 1A and 1B.
Sure. Thanks, Rahul. Yeah, I will repeat this once we are at the end of the session. Thanks a lot. All right, so we can go to the next part, which is basically about round 1B. Welcome again, Chakra. So we want to understand what is the objective of round 1B. Since Ashutosh advised folks to start with 1A, how they can get started with 1B.
Yeah, I think I will just say +1 to what Ashutosh mentioned. So once you have 1A, you can start working on 1B. You can start working on it parallelly as well, but we are going to evaluate 1A first and then 1B. So in 1A, we have started solving a problem, but what exact problem we really need to solve? That we have to understand. So as we discussed, as Ashutosh also mentioned in the very beginning, we want to extract insights from a collection of documents. So just assume that you are a stock analyst and you have annual reports from competing tech companies, let's say for last 3 years. And you want to analyze revenue trends or R&D investments, or let's say market positioning strategies. Now, given a collection of documents and this persona of a stock investment analyst and a particular job that this stock analyst needs to do. So for example, the job is analyze revenue trends. You want to extract relevant sections from this collection of document, which can later on be fed into a LLM. But we are only talking about extracting the relevant sections and relevant subsections or relevant, let's say, lines or paragraphs which are there in the document, which are there in the multiple, it could be in multiple documents, given the persona and the job to be done. So this will be the first. So that's how humans work. So if you have a task, you collect all the information at one place, and then you start extracting minimal snippets from that collection, and finally you complete your task. So this is what we are trying to accomplish in 1B. So I think it is very straightforward. Once you have achieved the sections in 1A, the second task task is that given a set of PDFs and a persona and a job to be done, what are the most relevant and important sections and content that can be extracted? That's it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Chakra. Um, so couple of repetitive questions. Yeah, you have to submit both 1A and 1B. And like Rahul mentioned, keep different repos for them. We will share two submission link for both of them, and you can share the links with them. I will talk about, I have mentioned couple of things that you have to take care about the GitHub repos. I will repeat them in the end. Okay, Chakra, there are a couple of questions. Can they use LLMs and deep learning for this problem statement?
So, I mean, the details are already mentioned in the document. So you can use a model which is of at most 1 GB size. So like in 1A, there will not be any network call that is allowed. So if you're using any open source LLM or small language model, provide that in the Git repo. We will download it and we will evaluate it locally. So again, no network calls are allowed, but you can use a language model which is up to a size of 1 GB.
Okay, thanks.
And again, open source language model.
Yeah. So, Chakra, one more thing. How does persona would impact the output? Like, how does persona factor come into being?
So basically, the, most importantly, we want to have a generic solution and not just a solution which is, let's say, specific to 2 or 3 domains. It should be a generic solution. The document set will be related. So that's where this persona thing comes in. So for example, a student persona will most likely be about, let's say, the chapters from a chemistry book. A business analyst will have something related to annual reports, or an academic research student might require papers and let's say is doing some literature review. So that's where persona comes in, because this collection of documents is somewhat related to the persona which we are tagging along with the job to be done.
All right, thanks a lot, Chakra. There are a couple of things about submission. We will come to that for 1A. Let me see if there's any other relevant question. Yeah, so I think output is going to be a little different than the ground truth that we have, but it's more about what all convergence we have. So if you are capturing the relevant sections and you are putting it there, then you would be awarded, right? Okay, so we can move to the next question. You don't need to consider images in the PDF. So that's part we are giving you exemption. All right, let's move to the next part. Yeah. So this is again the submission guidelines, the most important sections that you guys are interested about. So Prasanjit, like what are the tips and tricks for round 1B submission, and how what kind of input and output they should be looking at?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Ajit. So let me give you some insights of the input file format, and so what are the things so candidates should keep in mind while solving the problem, the submission guidelines, and the output format. Okay, so to start with, so this is one sample input JSON actually. Okay, so as Chakrapani already mentioned that 1B works on a set of documents. Okay, so there will be set of documents, and given some persona and some jobs to be done, you need to compute the related or relevant sections or some related or some relevant sentences actually from documents. Okay, so based on that, so input should contain some challenge ID, that is a random ID actually, and the test case name and one description followed by the set of documents. Each documents should have the file name and the title of the document, and that is repeated for all the documents. Suppose for this case, there are 7 documents actually, so from 0 to 6. and then followed by the persona and the jobs to be done. So this is the standard format actually. So the solution takes actually, so 1B solution takes. Okay. So can you please go to the next step? Next slide, Abhishek. Yeah. So to start with, so let me give you some insights. So when you are solving the problem, okay. So to start with, so this is the that PDF analysis strategy. Okay. So first you should skim through the document structure. So you should check the headings, subheadings, table of contents, some other markers from the documents. So the contents you have already extracted in the problem 1A. Okay, and that you should look into to find the answers for the answer for the question. So you are provided, and then identify the relevant sections using some suitable algorithm. So for that, you can focus on the different sections, paragraphs, and the other body of the document. Okay, and followed by extraction and filtering. So after you have extracted few relevant sections, okay, so you may use some LLM or some other algorithm or other deep learning model specifically to summarize uh, the answer actually. So based on the person's language or person's tone basically, and then you should cross check references from multiple PDFs. It means that suppose for a given question, as you have multiple documents, there can have multiple sections which are related to the input question, and the sections can be from multiple documents. Okay, so you should cross-reference those documents so that you can consolidate the result in a one go actually, or in a one section. Okay, and finally, once you have the result, so you should populate the JSON output JSON. So one sample output JSON is shown right side. Okay, so if you see the output JSON, it has some metadata information that has set of input documents names, the persona jobs to be done, and the timestamp actually, because the timestamp, so as earlier mentioned, that the timestamp should be 10 seconds for 50 pages. Okay, so this will help us to cross check the algorithm timeline, actually algorithm performance. Okay, now comes the extracted sections based on the question. So in this section, so here we have extracted 5 relevant sections. Okay, so each section, if you carefully look into that, it has the document title and the section title along with the importance rank and the page number of the document. So each relevant section, so you should provide the document title and in which page that relevant section exists actually. Okay, and the importance rank. So it means suppose for a particular job you have fetched five relevant documents. Okay, so 5 cannot be based for that particular input question. Okay, so there should be some ranking that the highest rank, so the zeroth element in the JSON, that should always hold the highest rank actually relevant section. Okay, in this way you should sort the relevant sections. Okay, now comes the subsection analysis. So in subsection analysis, where what we are expecting, that suppose for a given job, if you find a relevant section that holds the answer for that particular question, can you identify the exact sentences, maybe 2 sentence, 3 sentence, or whatever it is, that directly correlates best with the input question actually. Okay, this is what subsection analysis means, and that also contains the document name and the refined text actually, that is the exact 2 3 sentences or some paragraphs or sub paragraph and the page number of the document. Okay, in this way the output is structured. Okay, and finally, so the important thing which you keep in mind, that the submission checklist for 1B, that the GitHub project with the code, so you should submit in the repo, and a README file that should clearly mention the step-by-step guidelines that are used to actually replicate the or run the entire code basically. Okay, so that if you use some automatic script that should read your README file one by one, all the steps, and it should automatically analyze the algorithm and run the algorithm, and we get the output. Okay, so you have to take care of that part. Okay. Abhishek, can you please go to the next part? Yeah. So finally comes to the automatic evaluation guidelines. So we have multiple evaluation criterias. First of all, that completeness. So given the input question, so does the candidate cover all the essential points? Okay. So from the ground truth means we have some ground truth set for evaluation set basically. So does candidate covers all the parts from the ground truth? Okay. And the correctness that all the concept are factually correct. So factually correct means, suppose in the first part, you have computed few relevant sections from the document, and then you may use some LLM or some deep learning model to make a gist or to make a summary or or to consolidate the result actually. Okay. During that stage, so you should check whether you are hallucinating or you are adding some factually incorrect data. So in the output, okay, that you should check. And the section relevance, how well you are matching. So the result based on the persona given, and it should be the ranked one. And same for the subsection relevance. So as I mentioned earlier, yeah, that's all.
All right. Prasan, can you repeat again? There is a question. Can you explain the concept of persona a bit more in detail?
Yeah, sure. So persona is actually a specific segment of customers actually. Okay, so maybe with some level of expertise. Okay, suppose one scientist with some or some researcher. Okay, so there should be some advanced level researcher, okay, and there should be some medium level researcher or some beginner level researcher. So persona actually sets the tone of your answer. It guides the answer generation process actually based on the segment of customers and based on their expertise basically. That's the way actually I want to summarize it.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Prasan. All right. I think we have covered a lot. We can move to the final section. So here basically I guess you guys are asking a lot of questions regarding the deadline and all. So we have winners from the last year, and that too was similarly challenging. And I just wanted to bring them to stage. Om, Tane, and Shubham, welcome to the stage. And basically, we just want to hear your viewpoint that how you guys manage the challenging aspect, especially considering the timeline that the participants are getting. So feel free, either one of you can take a shot. First of all, Om, Shubham, and Tane are from Triple IT Illahabad. They won the challenge, which was created by Creative Cloud Business Unit, and we would. Of course, they wouldn't be able to help you out in the exact this challenge, but they will tell you how they managed to be on the top. Yeah, guys, you had the similar time constraint, how you managed the challenge and what helped you to solve it and be on the top.
I think yes, obviously, I mean, time constraint is something you should consider seriously because, like, what we used to do was like we used to go to classes in the day and during these 15 to 30 days, whole like in the whole duration of this night, we had to code for this hackathon. Uh, Apart from this, since there is this time constraint, you can, I mean, consult people. Even like Adobe has offered some mentors for this, so you can take their guidance so that you will not waste your time on approaches which are not relevant. So I think, I mean, if any approach you are trying, it is recommended you confirm it with someone, with some expert ones. So yes, that's it from
Thanks a
my side.
lot. Thanks a lot, Om. And all three of them are currently doing the internships with Adobe. Again, I think, like I mentioned, PPI opportunity is there for 2027 batch. Adobe hires only through internship. That's why the PPI is given only for the folks who can come as interns next year. Yeah, so I think there is no need to ask the question again and again. It wouldn't answer wouldn't change. So PPI is only for 27 batch. Rest of the awards are for all possible batches. And yeah, so if you win, there of course can be other perks as well. All right, so Aryan, we will share about the mentors. Mentors were normally given once they have qualified 1A, but if we see a lot of questions coming, we will think about that. So, so what was the kind of Om Tane Shubham? What was the aha moment for you guys in the challenge when you felt that okay, it's not happening, and then it happened? So, what if was there any particular bottleneck? Because I think one of the things that you all should remember that there's you aren't you shouldn't target the perfect score. You should just start with something and take your best shot at 1A if you are starting with 1A. Do your best at 1A and then move to 1B. Of course, there would be some edge cases that you would miss, but having said that, you would still be on the top and which make you eligible for the next round. Yeah, so but for you guys, like when that came, then you felt that okay, challenge is not happening because I think for you guys there were three sub parts in round one, and the third sub part couldn't be solved by anyone. I think that must be a challenging aspect, right? So anyone wants to share
Yes.
what happened?
So like I would like to share. So like yeah, the curvotopia problem statement. So like the aha moment was key when we tried to solve it. Our solution was not completely perfect as you said. But when we look at the other submissions there were, so like we look like we really thought really generalized way to solve it. So like it can be applied to multiple different doodles which can be solved. So it was like, oh wow, we like created a generalized solution which were like we were thinking ki like that this is not a way to solve it. And then one moment like like we remember ki our GitHub repo was got flagged which we submitted. So like but yeah, we communicated with you and like we changed the link with the fork copy. But yeah, like getting repo flagged was like we panic like what is happening. And yeah, like it was the ohms repo, and with that every other repo in his account got like uh, vanished. We
My
panicked.
account got vanished basically, so everything in that account.
So and then yeah, the aha moment key, yeah, the top six finalists and the winner, like when they announced like winner are Friday. So yeah, that feeling is unbeatable.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing. So I would just take a couple of quick questions. Siddhant, you are asking if they are top 50 finalists. So top 50 people from 27 batch, which means that there could be folks from 26, 28 batches who could have participated and are in top 50. They wouldn't be eligible. So even if you are not in top 50 team and you are in top 50 individuals from 27 batch, you would get a PPI. All right, you have to complete both 1A and 1B. Both have some scores. We will not exactly disclose. It would depend on the submissions. So wherever we'll get more submissions and kind of more that, we will increase the weightage and decrease the weightage accordingly. But you'll at this moment, you have to consider that both will have equal weightage and you'll have to solve both. So try to take best attempt at one challenge first and then move to the next one. Vishal, batch 26 will get all the other awards except for the PPI. All right, we can move to the final section. I think we are basically done with the entire session. I would just repeat the GitHub point again. You have to keep the separate repos for 1BA and 1B challenge. You have to keep your GitHub repo private. You have to make it only public when you get the submission link after the deadline. So after the deadline, you'll have to make it public, and Unstop you will inform you about that. In case you have made it public before that, there were other repo which has cheated your code, both will be disqualified. If you make any commit after the deadline, you would be disqualified. So hopefully you will remember these things. I will also I'll try to put all of these in the FAQ, whatever we have discussed, and share. We'll find a way to share with you all, so that you would not mention like miss anything critical. But couple of tips and tricks, what the speakers have mentioned. Hope you have absorbed it now, so that you can do the best part. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. We will have some methodology where if you still have the question, you can share with the Unstop team, and then basically you can get your question answered. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.